If you've been scrolling through endless listings of workshop carts, watching videos that all sound the same, and still feel that knot in your stomach because you're not sure which one actually solves the day-to-day hassle of moving heavy parts, stick around. I've spent the last few weeks comparing a handful of scissor-type carts, reading what users say about their lifting experience, and even testing a couple in my own garage. The goal here is to cut through the marketing fluff and let you know if the Vestil Cart 1000 LD is the cart that finally makes sense for you. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's talk about the problem this cart is built to solve. In a small auto shop, you often have to lift an engine block, a stack of pallets, or a large sheet of metal from floor level to a comfortable working height. You need something that can handle 1,000 pounds, but you also don't want a machine that takes up half the shop floor or requires a power outlet. The Vestil Cart 1000 LD is a steel-framed, hydraulic single scissor cart that promises a 1,000 pounds capacity, a platform that's 63 inches long by 31 inches wide, and a height range from 15 to 36 inches. Those numbers look good on paper, but what they really mean when you're actually loading and unloading matters more than any spec sheet. I started by looking at how the cart behaves when you first pull the hydraulic pump handle. The lever is positioned at the front, reachable without having to kneel, and the stroke feels solid, no sudden jerks that could toss a load. You crank it a few times, and the platform rises smoothly to the first lock point. Then you keep going for the second lock at the full 36-inch height. In real-world use, that two-stage lift is handy when you need a low height for loading heavy items onto the cart and then a higher position to work on them. For example, I placed a 900 pounds engine stand on the platform, lifted it to the mid-range, and had enough clearance to bolt a component without straining my back. The hydraulic lock clicks into place firmly, so there's no wobble even when you lean on the platform. One of the strengths that becomes evident quickly is the sheer size of the deck. At 63 inches long, you can accommodate long pieces like a 5-foot pipe or a sheet of plywood without having to tip them. The width of 31 inches also gives enough room for a small toolbox or a couple of tool crates, which means you can keep everything you need for a job on the cart itself. In a busy shop, that translates to fewer trips back and forth to the storage area. The steel construction isn't just about looking industrial. It actually resists dents and the occasional bump against a wall. After a week of moving the cart in and out of a cramped corner, there were no visible bends or rust spots, which is a practical sign of durability. Now, every piece of equipment has trade-offs, and the Cart 1000 LD is no exception. Because the cart relies on a manual hydraulic pump, you have to put in a little physical effort each time you raise or lower the platform. For most users, that's a minor inconvenience. But if you're lifting near the 1,000 pounds limit regularly, the lever can feel a bit stiff after a few cycles. That's something to consider if you have limited upper body strength or if you plan to use the cart for extended periods without a break. Additionally, the cart's footprint is fairly large. The 63-inch length means it won't slide easily into a narrow hallway or a small home garage without some maneuvering. It also doesn't come with wheels, just a set of lockable caster pads, so you'll need to pull it by the handle or use a separate dolly if you need to relocate it often. Who should buy this cart? If you run a small to medium-sized workshop, an automotive repair shop, or a maintenance department that deals with heavy components on a regular basis, the Cart 1000 LD checks several boxes. Its 1,000 pounds capacity covers most engine blocks, motorhome parts, and bulk material loads that would otherwise require a forklift or a more expensive lift table. The two-stage hydraulic lift gives you flexibility for both loading and working height, and the steel frame stands up to the kind of abuse a busy shop throws at it. Even a serious DIY hobbyist who builds furniture or restores vintage motorcycles will find the platform size generous enough for large projects, while still being low enough to the ground for safe loading. On the flip side, if you're a hobbyist with a tiny basement workshop, or if you only need to lift light items a few times a month, you might